Hello everyone, welcome to Pick That One Out. It's a weekly podcast trying to pick out the fun left in football. Kickoff it is on episode 6. My name is Jack Murphy. With me, my co-host Will Varney. Will, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Box of Tricks number 6. We've reached episode 6. Thank you to all those who've been listening, watching us on YouTube so far, I'd like to say. I enjoyed last week's episode. I felt like it was especially that starter of talking about the French pastries. I thought they got us off to a really good start. I think that helped us through the rest of the podcast. So, good podcast last week, and hopefully some more good stuff to come from today's. And we've been lining up this show, haven't we, throughout the day. Usually we have a look the day before. Today it's an on-the-day job. Let's see what happens. It could go all pear-shaped. We've got to live in hope.
Well, as you mentioned there, we're talking about the French pastries. This would normally be where we would insert Breakfast Club. I think we've had 4 breakfasts so far over the series, but due to scheduling conflicts, we're recording in the evening today. We would normally record in midday on the Monday. What's the solution, Will? Are we thinking maybe a dinner party instead of Breakfast Club this week?
It's a difficult one, and do you know what? Of all the prep and today being at work, all I could think about the whole day was, what do we title this sort of opening segment? What do we call it? I know that you're thinking dinner party. I was thinking we could just go with something simple like the evening club.
Okay.
I didn't really know where the vibe was. I did like dinner party, but what I have with me tonight isn't necessarily a dinner party. I didn't obviously finish work, came back, didn't have necessarily the time to whip up the meal that I was going to have tonight. I have planned it out. I've got a couple of burgers that go out of date tonight. So I haven't made them yet. They're being made later on. They are in my mind though, but I'm going to crack them out later on. Bit of cheese, got some lettuce, and obviously the barbecue sauce. That can't go amiss.
Full job,
so
fair play.
it's and with fries to go, they get a bad rep, Jack. But I'm backing them tonight.
A childhood staple, a staple of my childhood in the cardboard box ones that you microwave.
100%. Yeah. They get a bad reputation, but tonight they are back out as a treat. They are 2 minutes, whack them in the microwave, and you're on to a winner. So they're back out tonight. But if we're talking about the dinner party, aka evening club, tonight, well, to start off with, I've got a nice refreshing beverage of a strawberry and kiwi flavoured still water. Bit of fruitiness on the side, but it's also very refreshing after a long day. And then, to play on the whole club vibe, well, I couldn't, could I? Not on episode 6. It's a bloody club. Club. An orange club is what we have tonight. I feel like this starts a debate, not only about the segment and the whole club on club vibe, but more on, this is a big debate, Jack. I want to hear your views. Is a club a chocolate bar or a biscuit? That's the big one tonight. Regardless of the football, regardless of any chat we have tonight, what is it?
Let's buckle in.
Strap yourselves in. It's going to be a bumpy ride, this one.
To me, it's got to be chocolate biscuit. It's the biscuit aisle. It comes as a pack of biscuit. It's a chocolate biscuit. And I can't see myself getting drawn away from that idea. When you said club, Will, I can't lie to you. I'm not sure if it's the announcement today of the lockdown coming back and everything and dates and whatnot.
Yes.
You said club and you said club vibe, and I was so terrified you were about to pull out a VK.
Ooh, well, I mean, look, we know what to do for the future weeks. You're giving me ideas, Jack. That one might not be a great one in a mid-morning pod record. That
True, but if this situation ever happens again...
If it happens
don't
again...
say we didn't warn you.
You're giving me ideas, and I like it. But I mean, when I was picking this club up today in a so-called panic buy, I did notice that the only 2 club flavours there were an orange and a mint club. Now, I felt... I didn't know what to think. I was almost hurt when I saw the mint club. I'm not a big mint chocolate fan, and I thought I was just missing the sort of raisin club. That is really underrated. Doesn't get a good enough reputation. Along with the honeycomb club. Good club flavours. Get that. This is the poll that we need. Why don't we just do 45 minutes on our favourite biscuits? And is club a chocolate biscuit or a chocolate bar? These are the big. This is what the people want, Jack.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm a fan of all types of chocolate. I've got no qualms with mint chocolate, so you're not going to win me over with anything there. But I'm saying it is more. You know what? I'm putting raisin bottom out of them four. Then I'm going mint. Then I'm going to go orange. Honeycomb takes the dub for me.
It's insulting to me. I feel like you just tried to insult me by putting the raisin one at the bottom. That was always a highlight of my packed lunch at school. When Mum has packed me that lunch and I've opened it up and I've spotted in that big burgundy purple wrapper that club, I knew my lunch was on to a winner, regardless of the poor sandwich that may be in the box. But that's if Mum listens to this. Hopefully Mum doesn't listen to this pod. She's listened to all 5 before as sort of moral support, which is nice to hear. But hearing that one, Mum, you made great sandwiches all those times. Big up. Yeah,
test
props.
if anything to see if she actually does listen. Anyway,
she will now.
We've got the big talk out of the way. The biscuit talk's done for now. We'll come back to that later on to see
Push
scores.
it to the side. Let me have a nibble. Carry on, Jack. What have we got coming up?
We've got our Premier League roundup as always.
Okay.
But I feel like Groundhog Day, Will. I feel like we do this every week. Liverpool 0, Everton 2. We kick off with. And I was thinking about what to say for this one, and I just don't want to rehash the same things that we always say. The bad injuries, what a shame that it's hurt them all year. It's now 4 losses on the bounce now in the league for Liverpool. I think it's 1 point in 6 at Anfield in the league. I do have sympathy, but if you're going to lose every week, then you're coming into conversation with Arsenal territory at this point.
I feel like every pod episode we've done so far, out of all the 6, we've almost led with Liverpool the whole way. And I feel like we've seen the decline in each stage. It's almost like it's happened from as soon as we started to now. At the start, we were going, well, they're still in with a shout of the title. Then it was maybe they dropped off the gas a bit. And then it was they still have that title decider against City. And now it's wow, they're really scrapping for top 4. They could be they might struggle to actually get European football. We like you said, we discuss it every week, don't we? Oh, they've been unlucky with injuries. Oh, it just hasn't come off for them this week. But that Everton game was huge. I know, obviously, they beat Leipzig midweek, and I personally thought getting that win was huge. I thought that could spur them on for not only the Everton game and what was at stake, but also for the rest of the season. That Everton game was huge, not only for what it meant to the city, but the ramifications of it with, Everton they haven't won there since 1999. They're in the hunt for Champions League and European football. And of all the time as well, what was it? The 3rd minute, 4th minute,
straight away.
And Richarlison goes, and it was so easy for Richarlison to get through. And then when it rains, it pours. Jordan Henderson getting that injury. Jurgen Klopp, just the pain in that man's face. It was one of those.
The memes.
It is the meme. He was smiling on the outside, but just crying on the inside. And then from that point on, obviously, there's a whole debate about the penalty. But regardless of the penalty, I thought Everton looked really good defensively as well. Ben Godfrey, I thought, had a great game. Jordan Pickford was really impressive as well. I think he was, that was a real standout performance, looking for that number 1 shirt for England in the Euros. And, everyone's saying what a genius sort of Carlo Ancelotti is, what a great manager he is. But, Jurgen Klopp undone once again. And, they are struggling this season.
Yeah, it's not looking great for them at all. And the new bit of discourse, because real journalists actually find new pieces of discourse to discuss with Liverpool every week. And they the one they've chosen this week is, well, they've had 18 centre-back partnerships now. Klopp needs to just stick with them. Stick with one. Just pick 2 and stick with them. Problem is, Jurgen Klopp plays anyone at centre-back and they immediately get injured. It's some woeful curse. And now you've got to worry for them going forward with Jordan Henderson out. We were talking about how he has no impact in the midfield at centre-back. He now doesn't have an impact in the team. I'm not sure how long he's out for, but I assume he's missing the the Chelsea game coming up in the Sheffield United.
It didn't look a great injury, did it? It looked like he pulled his groin, and and like you said, not only losing him as a centre half, but just losing his influence on the pitch. And for all the criticism maybe he gets, I always find that former pros often talk about, and as well, people who are commentating at the games and obviously not having supporters around, for example, you're able to hear the communication on the pitch. And so many people say how influential he really is. He really is a leader on that pitch. And I mean, that defence has lacked that really all season. And it's going to have absolutely none of it now for what may be the next few games. And you have to look at that centre-half partnership. Is that a partnership which gets Champions League football? If you think about the next few games, Kabak, who's coming off the back of a shocking run of results with Schalke and the form they've had this season, and then Nat Phillips, you have to say they have been really, really unlucky. But at the same time, regardless of that, you look at the top half of the pitch, and really, it's been Mo Salah who's been doing it almost all on his own all season.
Yeah, it's a weird one because, like you mentioned, Liverpool looked like the Liverpool of old against Leipzig. I think part of that was knowing it's a different competition. It feels like a clean slate, but also, I mean, with German clubs and clubs like Leipzig that are heavy pressing, they have no awareness of the back line, and they will just be all on the press. And some of the positioning from that back line, and like you just have to hold your hands up and say that's the style of play that most teams in the Bundesliga play. But Liverpool were just able to tear them apart, counter after counter. So I do think they'll be able to go through now quite easily after that. But they've got to get these points on the board in the league. Otherwise, they could be falling out of Europe. Never mind top four.
League form at home especially, Jack.
Yeah.
If you look at their league form at home and how they've been performing recently, it is especially at Anfield, and that's where they're usually being so known for being so strong. That run they went on of not losing at home, and then look at it, just the wheels have come off.
They'll never win again.
And I mean, for Liverpool fans, it must be so frustrating at the minute. And I know people like, and I mentioned it last week, didn't I? We said about unsuccessful title defences, and how bad they've become. I still don't think Liverpool will reach that level, but again, it's being raised because the performances and the points, they're not picking them up. They're not picking them up at all. They're just deteriorating. It's becoming a bit embarrassing. That's the issue.
Yeah, and let's talk about the team that's recently replaced them in the top four. West Ham United, another huge win for the Hammers. 2-1 win over Spurs midday on Sunday. I'll throw the question right out there, Will. Are we sleeping on West Ham?
Go for it. Hit me.
Are we sleeping on them? They've been, because we've talked about Leicester before on the pod. Villa, we've given a mention. Even Everton just now, and I think we have previously. Even Leeds, we've given a good mention. I don't remember us giving a good, solid shout out to West Ham for their performances this season.
I don't know if we're sleeping on them. I don't know. I think it's one of those where, for me personally, looking at the top four at the moment, I think it's almost set in stone in my head that it's going to be Manchester City, Man United and Leicester are going to be three teams that take those spots for me personally. I think that final spot, you're right, for me it comes down to the likes of West Ham, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs. I think they're dead and buried. I don't think they're in it.
Everton will definitely be in it.
And Everton, I think, and Everton have put themselves back in. So everybody's scrapping for that final place. And I think West Ham will get it? I personally don't. I don't think they've got enough in terms of squad depth to compete with maybe the likes of, say, Chelsea. Maybe that's a biased viewpoint from me, who knows. Bit of Tuchel ball. But at the same time, I think with how they've been playing, it's not to say it's been impressive, especially their form this year in 2021. A lot of people, I mean, coming into this season, many people were saying that the young lad who went to West Brom,
Dean Garner,
the owners are getting absolute pelters from the fans. It's not good enough. We need more investment. And you look at how this side have kicked on. David Moyes being brought in. Many people were sort of really frustrated with that appointment. Again, bringing him back, was it really going to be good? I mean, fair play to him. I mean, some of the picking up results like they have and playing like they've had. Players such as Declan Rice really showing their influence on the pitch. Antonio is so good as well. I mean, I think he's the only player I know who is in my fantasy team currently. And whenever I see him score, I feel like I may have had a good week. I have no clue. I don't check. But still, he's firing in the goals. They look a really good... And I mean, one player in particular for me who has lit up this team, and you will agree 100%, is Soucek. So we differed. We didn't even agree.
Soucek's
Who were you going to say?
Soucek's fantastic season. I thought the natural narrative was some Jay Ling's talk.
Oh, come on. No, if you look at the whole season...
whole season, okay. But, I mean, we need... this hurts. We need to shine a light on Jay Ling's at this point.
Yeah, we do.
Jesse Lingard's come in, career looks dead and buried. And he's scored like 4 goals in 3 games or 3 goals in 4 games or something like that. He's looked fantastic on the ball.
I can't remember who his first game was against. Who was
Aston Villa? He's bagged a brace in that one.
And there we go. It was that game. Do you know what about it was quite surprising to me? Was in that first game, I think he'd only been there maybe a week. He'd been at the club maybe a week or maybe even just sort of four days or so. And not only does he bag a brace, but his link up with Antonio.
Yeah.
It was like they'd been playing for months. And it was almost a case of, you had to second guess yourself because you thought Antonio knew where Lingard was. Lingard was, knew where Mikel Antonio was. On the same wavelength. They look really good together. And then since then, they've just, completely carried that form on. Not only the pair of them, but the team itself. And they, you know what? I think surprisingly, so many people have spoken, and they try and like you say, you try and find different viewpoints on how can we criticise a team or something like that. And they've gone, the only reason West Ham are playing so well is because the fans aren't in the stadium, giving them grief and all this. I think it looks a really united team on the pitch.
Yeah,
and I think that's the only thing I would say. I don't think they will get Champions League in the end, but I still think, they will definitely be up there challenging towards the end of it. I don't think they're going to go away anytime soon, especially with how they're playing at the minute. They look really good, Jack.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything about the squad depth. I think we saw in the FA Cup that as soon as Antonio had a worry that they had no one to rely on. But speaking of Antonio, I feel like this is a Moyes trait. I'm not sure if there's any like stats or anything to back it up, but he seems to take players that aren't natural strikers and make them flourish there. Antonio, I'm thinking Fellaini, Soucek, making them goal scoring players from midfield. Tim Cahill at Everton as well. I don't know if that's a thing that Moyes does. He just goes, I've got 2 strikers. I'll ship one of them off to Ajax. I'll have one. He started off as a left winger.
That was a big decision.
Yeah, I've got
that was a huge decision.
My one striker is a left winger, but I'm going for it. We've also got a big Czech holding midfielder. He'll pop in for the goals if Antonio doesn't.
But I still think, even if you're a West Ham fan, surely you were looking at it in January thinking, okay, so 45 million striker been sold, right? Getting a replacement in, maybe not. So I mean, that is what I mean. There's a gamble on squad depth.
Yeah.
You know that when we've seen it, Antonio has been injured, and then all of a sudden there are many questions. Okay, who's going to go up top? Now, obviously they've brought Lingard in. That might help suffice it a bit. But even so, Lingard's not a striker. He's not going to be playing up top. So I mean, there are still questions over that for sure. But I mean, you can't criticise them currently with the squad, with how they've been playing. I mean, what a job David Moyes has done this season with a team that everyone at the start of the season was going relegation dogfight for sure.
No doubt. Last point on this game, have to talk about the celebration for the Lingard goal. Thoughts on it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. What are you saying?
It's a thumbs down from me, and that's not a Roy Keane viewpoint.
It sounds it.
Everyone should. I like a nice celebration. I like Jamie Vardy playing the old ukulele a couple of weeks back against Liverpool. But for me, yeah, exactly. Just banging it away. But at the same time, that one. I mean, you had the 4 of them.
I love the fact it's a band. I've not seen that before.
I love hate that Jesse Lingard celebration.
Yeah,
what is it? A flute or a clarinet?
Okay,
we don't know.
If it was just that, it's a thumbs down. But now you've got Pablo Fornals, don't know if he speaks a word of English, but he's on the guitar in the back. You got
Yeah.
Bowen, the lead singer, in the back. You've got Declan Rice. It took me about 5 watches to realise he was on the drums. He was doing this. I wasn't sure what he was doing.
Yeah,
but he
no, I
makes
didn't
it
know
for
what he
me.
was doing.
He
I
makes
don't even
it
think
for me.
Deck knew. But I mean, this is the thing.
I
don't know whether.
I don't know if it was
I don't
just.
know whether.
Go
I
on,
don't know
mate,
whether
go
Jay Lings is on the clarinet. He's on the flute. I don't know what he's doing. He's like the Pied Piper, but I just don't like it. There's just something that annoys me about it, and I feel like it might be because usually it's a celebration that if I'm playing FIFA and somebody scores against me, they bring that one out, and I've seen it way too many times. That might be it, but at the same time, yeah, it wasn't for me. That one wasn't my go-to celebration.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's move on to the league leaders. Manchester City went to the Emirates, scored in the first 2 minutes and won 1-0 against Arsenal, held it for the full game. When I saw that goal go in,
yeah, an early starter. I bet you're happy.
Heart dropped. Thought, it's because we talked about this in the predictions last week. I don't think anyone at all had Arsenal down as a win for this one.
I don't think anyone would have predicted Raheem Sterling to outjump Rob Holding.
But as soon as that goal goes in, my heart drops and my head's thinking 7-0, 8-0.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. We improved from there, but we can say that we looked decent throughout, but the fact is City didn't have to get out of second gear to hold this lead really. And the fact that they scored it was such a shame because I feel like we set up decently and some brain dead defending from the get-go just kills any hope you had straight away.
I mean, I know that City are a great side, don't get me wrong, and they have been for a few years now. But would you agree they're almost, in a way, sort of like a bogey team for you? I swear now
100%.
at home, you've not scored against them in maybe 4 or 5 games now, not even scored a goal. I mean, sure, what is it about them? Because everyone predicted, Arteta was Pep's mini-me.
Yeah.
And he just still can't really get it over on him in the Premier League.
Yeah, and that's the thing in the Premier League. I don't know what happened for us to win 2-0 at Wembley in the cup semi-final.
Magic of the cup.
Magic of the cup, we know it. Hey, I mean, but and Pep came out afterwards and was nothing but praise for Arteta. But we knew that was going to happen. They're mates. We knew that Pep's always going to have his back. My fear now is that Benfica on Thursday is a massive game. 1-1 in the first leg. In the last 32 of the Europa League. The Europa League is our only shot at Europe now, realistically. It's our only shot at Europe.
Here's a question for you as an Arsenal fan, right?
Yeah.
I see so many people say, and I want to make this a quick one for you. I've seen so many people say that Arteta, he deserves time. He deserves time. I think you're currently 10th?
Yes.
You're currently 10th. At what point do you say, we're still not picking up results? Have we made much progress in the time he's been at the club, regardless of that FA Cup win last year?
Progress, no. Because obviously, you can't say there's been progress in terms of in just looking at the league position. I fear that if we lose against Benfica, that might be him done. And I fear it because I don't see a manager that we could get that would have an instant impact on this group of players. And I'm not going to act like we have a poverty squad. We don't. We've spent money on it in the last few seasons. There are some fantastic players in there. I do think this is this whole squad is transition. It's a completely different style of play. Trying to get them, because Arteta's got to try and transition them from the first style that he had as this sort of defensive, don't concede, which got us the FA Cup against in the style against you and against City, and now it's this was the season where Arteta's gone. This has to be the season where we transition from that to what I'm aiming for, which is Pep City in terms of lineup, the 4-3-3. The more fluid football.
But that's the problem, because time it showed with Frank Lampard, for example. You don't always get the time that you want. No. Sometimes the club will want to make that sort of change and change how they come across and change the whole structure of the club in a way rather than just the team. But depends on time, and if you're not picking up results either, I think you're right. I think Europa League is huge for Arsenal now. I think that's huge for him, and I think it's huge for his job because you can't keep running out of chances.
But then you're just going to get another manager in if he's sacked. That's another manager's signings, another manager's tactics, and it just becomes a huge mess. And
cycle,
and it just becomes a vicious cycle. It's not something I want to see happen with these lot. And I think. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd give him time. But I can understand that you can't fill him with praise at 10th in the league. Let's push it off of us. I want to push it onto you now. You've had a few weeks of Tuchel now. And it's he's dropped points against...
Tuchel ball!
He's dropped points against Southampton, 1-1 at St Mary's. It was a dull game, not much to say.
It wasn't a thriller.
It'd be disappointed to drop points against an out-of-form Southampton. I think the only main talking point I want to come out of this with is the subbing a substitute of Hudson-Odoi, who got brought on at half-time, then subbed off like 20 or so minutes later. Looks like the commentators were trying to play off as an injury. Doesn't look like an injury, and then Tuchel confirmed post-match that it wasn't an injury either. So, I mean, what are we saying there? Is this the first glimmer of the ruthless Tuchel era?
I think he's going to be a ruthless manager. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot is being made out of it because it's Callum Hudson-Odoi, and I think since Tuchel's come in, he's looked like he's almost reinvigorated in a way. He's put in some really impressive performances, and then all of a sudden, comes on at half time looking to change the game. What surprised me is. Don't get me wrong, it was a dreadful game to watch at times. It was really boring. It was literally just Chelsea passing the ball around, bit of possession, and then, what should we do? Let's try and score. But, I mean, Timo Werner, are much use as a chocolate fireguard at the minute, unfortunately. So, I mean, if we're not going to do much. And I thought Callum Hudson-Odoi looked really positive against... He was actually looking like he wanted to do something. He was trying to get at Ryan Bertrand, get past him. He did it a couple of times. And what is sort of a 25-minute, half-an-hour cameo? He then gets brought off for Ziyech. I did think at the time, I thought that's bizarre. I thought it must have been an injury. Surely, and I mean, being subbed as a sub is probably the worst feeling ever.
It's gotta be a killer.
I feel like I might have had it when I played Sunday League. And do you know what? What's surprising is when I try and remember it, I don't feel like I was angry. I think I just fancied the breather. I didn't really care.
I just thought,
honestly, I was full. I think I was getting actually run ragged at fullback, and I just thought, I'll take the breather here. Rest the old legs and chill out, have a sip. I mean, I didn't feel too badly. For a professional footballer, however, I can imagine that sort of feeling of just not only the frustration, but the almost maybe embarrassment, and how sort of. Well, he's been playing recently. Look, I think you're right. I think it just shows that Tuchel's going to take no nonsense from this team. Whether that's a good thing, we'll have to wait and see, because we've actually started okay under him. But tomorrow against Atletico is the big test. That's the big test for sure.
Yeah, I mean, here's the baptism of fire now. The next fortnight, twice against Atletico, Liverpool, and Man United. So we'll see. We'll see by episode 7 or 8 how we're feeling by then.
Yeah, and you'll be opening the episode with, Will, how's your week been? And I'll be going, it's been another defeat for us, and I'm feeling very positive.
Arteta will be gone by then. I'll have a beard down to here. I'll look homeless.
It'll just be two guys just really sad talking about the state of their clubs currently.
I think that's all it has been the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's what we're edging towards anyway. I don't think it'll be a big difference.
I think it's time we talked about some good football. Not sure about you.
I'd like that.
Champions League returned in the last 16 last midweek. And Kylian Mbappé, you star boy, what an absolutely incredible performance he put on against Barcelona in the 4-1 victory for PSG. I mean, he's a player that ever since he broke out at Monaco, he's been so likeable to watch. It's such an entertaining style of player. I'm going to give a quick question. It's something that you were trying to fit in, so I'm going to just try and throw it at you, throw it back in your face.
Yeah.
Mbappe or Haaland, who do you think has the better career?
I've heard everyone has asked me this week at work. It's been the big talking point. Oh, would you rather have Mbappe, Haaland? I would take Mbappe, purely because we haven't seen. I haven't really seen much of Haaland on an international stage, and Mbappe has a World Cup to his name, so I think that says a lot already. And I think, I mean, like you said, we discussed the game, didn't we, briefly last week, and we said, Mbappe doesn't have Neymar. I wonder if that will come into. It looked like he didn't care at all. He run that backline ragged. I saw a video of Jared Piqué. The photo of Jared Piqué, but there's also a video of him of Piqué just like screaming like what is going on? Can somebody help, please? And I felt for the guy. I mean, like he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. And to score a hat trick at the Nou Camp, all the talking points just went away from Messi completely, and what a brilliant player he was, all onto Kylian Mbappé, a real star for the future. But we've known this for some time. I think it's just turning up in a game like that and being individually brilliant has just put him on a whole new level right now to people.
Yeah, we've debated for years who's next after Messi and Ronaldo to take the keys to the throne at the top of of world football. And Mbappe's there. He's there now. Yep. There's no debate over it. He's there, and he doesn't look like going away anytime soon. He's going to be there for his full career. It looks absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to see where his career takes him. I mean, his Champions League final and World Cup is already in the back pocket. So, he's young, and he's younger than us. Chilling. So,
I mean, like it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, what a player. But and this is the thing, right? For somebody with such a big price tag as well, when he went to PSG, a lot of people saying, in Ligue 1 hadn't really shown much for Monaco in a European sense, and then goes to PSG, shown it on the international stage as well. I think it only screams a matter of time to me until we're seeing him at, say, like Real Madrid, for example. I think they're going to come calling soon enough for him.
So let's think about it, because it will go down as one of the best Champions League performances ever.
100% has to be.
That sparked the debate in my mind. Best individual performances we've ever seen in a football game. I'm not sure if you have any. I had two that came to mind and stuck with me.
I had three that came to mind. So
okay, if you want to go first.
Okay, I mean, one that came to mind for me had to be Gareth Bale against Inter Milan.
I like that shout.
And the reason for that was not only just I think for me what reminds me so much, everyone remembers that goal where he just sort of glided past Maicon like he wasn't there. At the time, Maicon was being mentioned as the best right back in world football at the time. And he just moved past him like he wasn't there. He goes to the San Siro and just almost in the second half just tore them apart out of nowhere. That for me was not only the game that made people start talking about Gareth Bale in the sense that he is as a huge winner in the game, but also that performance, it was just sensational to watch. For me, that is definitely one, especially at a place like Inter Milan as well, when they were at their height as well. I think it was around 2011 time.
Yeah, it was just after they won it. I think they were the holders
just come off the back of winning the Champions League. It was brilliant to watch. Has to be up there for me, that one.
Good call. I mean, I didn't have the heart. I did look at it. I didn't have the heart to put a Spurs performance in there.
I suppose that would be painful for
that's
you.
Good. I mean, that's fair play from you for sticking it in there. I know that can't have been easy for you either.
No, it wasn't.
First one, I've gone closer to home.
Okay.
Anfield 2009. This little Russian left winger comes out of nowhere. 4 shots, 4 goals. I'm talking Andrei Arshavin. We've mentioned him on the pod before as a cult hero. And this was what cemented his whatever legacy he has in English football. I mean, the commentary, the just out of nowhereness of the game, where every time one team scored, Arshavin went every time Liverpool scored, Arshavin goes up the other end and he's netted one to either take the lead. I think 100%. The celebrations, the hand on the finger on the mouth, the shush,
give it the old shush routine,
and then he ends up counting. He's going 2, 3, 4. He's trying to keep count at the end. The only thing that hampers this is that we didn't win, and then we conceded in the 90th minute and it ended 4-4. If that game ends 4-3, it's top of my list, no doubt.
I think it's forgotten about sometimes, that one.
Yeah,
because it's Andrei Arshavin,
and I'm happy to be the man that constantly can be.
Just
the
keep
reminder.
Reminding everybody
once a year. I think
some
maybe
T-shirts and
at
posters.
Least, yeah. What a man! What a night under the lights. Great performance for me. That's my first one.
For me, I mean, this one for me, I'm going close to home as well. Didier Drogba against Bayern.
Yeah, this is the one I knew you were going for.
The reason I'm going for that is I understand that, we conceded late on. It's 1-0 Bayern. Thomas Muller scored. I'm head in my hands thinking, once again, done. I'm going to get ridiculed in the school playground. And I'm just waiting for it. And that he was always a man who he's spoken about. He's a man for the big occasions. People compare him to the likes of like Jamie Vardy, and Jamie Vardy's better because he scored more goals. I think for the big occasions, for those big days, trophies on the line, you wanted Didier Drogba there. He was a serial winner, and again, that vital moment right at the end. What does he do? Gets his head on it, gets us back into the game, into extra time. Granted, he does give away a penalty, heart in mouth routine. I was sort of thinking, well, thanks Didier, you did get sent off in a previous Champions League final. Now you give away a pen after sort of luring me and my feelings back into this. But then it was. Sometimes you think some things are just scripted in football, like it's meant to happen. Him stepping up to take that final penalty, knowing that he's going to leave. Oh, what a moment! Mum's birthday, buffet's gone flying everywhere. Get in, son. Giving Mum a big hug, crying in front of my best friend, which sort of, it's that one got mentioned in the school playground, but at the same time, supporting a Champions League winning club, so it's all worth in the end.
Yeah, fair play. I mean, that was always going to be Drogba's night, regardless of the result. And the fact he could take it and make it all about him, and in that way was even as a man rooting desperately for Bayern to win. So a special watch. I still watch that penalty now. Just get it up on YouTube, just chill out, maybe eat some pop chips, just watch it just for the memes. Fair play.
Oh, it brings so good.
I've got a more recent one for this one. I've one that doesn't get talked about enough. Bundesliga, half-time, Bayern come in 1-0 down at half-time against Wolfsburg, and Pep goes, fine, I've been rotating, Lewandowski's got to come on. We've got to bring him on. 9 minutes later, it's 5-1 Bayern, and Lewandowski's hit all 5.
Yeah.
None of them tap-ins. None of them. All great goals.
And again, it's like a player of quality. Just to, be like, yeah, if you just have a warm-up in these next 10, 15... Robert,
get us back into it.
We need to get back in the game. Like, maybe we can just get one after half-time, and then, we can get into it further as the second half goes on. And he just goes, yeah, easy. And he does the old sort of like Thanos clicking of the old fingers. And just sort of like, it's all on him then. And I mean, 5 goals later in 9 minutes. I remember that. That was incredible. Everyone was... But this is the thing, right? I think there's been so many amazing individual performances, but I completely forgot about that. I think so many people have forgotten about that as well. So like, there's performances where at the time you go, whoa, that is insane, and it's just easily forgotten about because somebody else will do something. Like
I don't watch much live Bundesliga, but somehow, some way, that was a game I was watching live on BT.
Yeah,
and the whole moment, like the commentator just becoming completely lost in it, knowing that he's what he's witnessing here, trying to come to grips with it, and just trying to believe it himself, and then the pan to Guardiola on the touchline, like the hand over the mouth,
like the old head.
And
then he doesn't even know what's going on.
Absolutely amazing moment, and that, I mean, we definitely knew by then the level that Lewandowski was on, but that game put him amongst the elite, like the top 3, 4, 5 in the world, definitely.
That got him. That started to get him spoken about as at a, like you say, at a higher level compared to the already good level that he was proven as a striker. But that was next.
Let's say the last one then. Will, what you got?
The last one that came to me, I remember seeing it in an airport. I don't know. It was a really weird one. Champions League final. And it's when at Wembley Stadium, Barcelona just dismantled Man United. Like it was one of those performances. I remember watching it in a Wetherspoons, waiting for the flight, chilling out, and I remember just looking and seeing Lionel Messi just run rings around the likes of Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand, who had looked so strong all season, and then just Lionel Messi, and that was a performance where like David Villa just looked insane. But Lionel Messi for me, I think even after the game, Rio Ferdinand said like, I'm actually embarrassed. And that's a player at like Rio Ferdinand, at the level that he was at. Ferguson was saying, this is the best team I've ever come across. You remember that Barca team, but also that was like Lionel Messi at Wembley, Champions League final, and he just took it all on his shoulders. And wow, that I remember watching that and thinking like this is special. And it's games like that where you watch a player's performance and you almost sit back and you think, I mean, it is embarrassing, and Rio clearly felt it as well.
Yeah, I'm glad that Messi's had a chat.
He had
with
to
this,
be thrown in there.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
one,
you could have picked his 5 goals in a game against Leverkusen, that game against Bayern. He's got him and Ronaldo. They've both got countless types of games like this. So I'm glad they've got
they've got a little
tour. But I mean, how old would we have been then? What, 11 or something?
Yeah, about 11, 12.
Against a United team that were just dominating everything in sight at the time. It's so nice. It was so nice to see them get brought down a peg. And
but I mean, that Barca team was on. It was
it was so good to watch. It was so good to watch, and that is the legacy that Pep brings to, because he's been mentioned in 2 of these games as the manager. But that's the legacy that he leaves, to have a team that good. I mean, obviously, it is a helping hand to have Leo Messi that performs.
It does help
like
having some, the funds readily available to get the best players, I suppose. Compared to if he was scrimping at Grimsby, you can imagine, him sort of looking for the pennies. But what can you do? An incredible manager.
Yeah, nice little talk that I think maybe one for the highlights down the road. I feel.
Who knows?
We talked about Mbappe's age in that, and I don't want to make us feel even older, but. Before we go into predictions, I want to talk about this news story that's come out this week. New Sunderland owner, Kirill Louis-Dreyfus, 23 years old, heir to a billionaire empire in France. Dad Robert Louis-Dreyfus previously owned Marseille, and I believe Kirill promised him he wouldn't get involved in football himself, but then was won over by Sunderland. And I just want
the Black Cats.
Everyone's second team is what they're most commonly known as, Sunderland.
I bet he watched Sunderland Till I Die, and that's what sold him.
I wonder if that sell him, or would that have put him off more? I don't.
I mean, it would. I mean, it'd probably put him off. I mean, he's probably watched it and gone, "This team looks entertaining." Probably because both seasons they got meant to go up the first season, but predicted for promotion, relegated, and then the second series
they made a documentary. They made a documentary crazy, expecting it to be their big hurrah return to the Premier League, and they went down.
It's backfired so bad. But even the second series, Jack, series was like,
doesn't get any easier to
bounce back. We're going to give them some pride as they get to a cup final and a playoff final and lose both. I mean, it's written, that's scripted for just comedy. It doesn't get any better. But I mean, in terms of this guy here, of all the things he could buy with that money, with that amount of money, anything you could do, invest in, and he decides to invest in the Black Cats, who've basically lost all 9 lives. They've got nothing left. They've
just found a 10th. They've just found a 10th out of nowhere. I can't believe it.
This is the thing.
In the press. Like the press talk from it afterwards, he's spoken to a few papers and whatnot about it, and he's talked about how in other places he's looked at, places like Russia and the capitals in Eastern Europe and that, they said they doesn't feel the same love as football as he did in Sunderland, which is quite nice to hear actually. And I don't know how Sunderland fans still have that love watching that team over the last decade.
And this is the thing, they clearly, they're begging out now for just because. After when Stuart Donald came in, everyone was going, "Get in, son! Brilliant. We've got somebody who cares about our club." And after about a year, he was going, "Does anyone else want to buy it?" He didn't want to be there. So finally, they find this 23-year-old who's happy to go in. I mean, the thing is, I can understand in a way why Sunderland fans hearing the amount of money that he's got. His father has experience at a football club, but also, I mean, I know. 23 years old, is that enough experience to then almost come into a club like Sunderland as well, who've had so many issues with money? I mean, like, why don't you just buy a couple of villas or something? And,
Well,
just...
I was going to say, if you right now had I think he's been valued at his current value is around £4 billion.
Okay, just a smidge of money.
Just £4 billion.
Okay.
Let's say you've got that as your net worth. You've got a few £100 million to spend.
Yeah.
Does a football club enter your mind once?
No.
Does it? It doesn't.
No, because I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing. I'd probably be the worst owner ever, and there's been a lot that could give me a run for my money, but still, I genuinely wouldn't have a clue. So, but even then, would I want to do it? But despite not knowing anything, no, nothing would interest me less. You know, like the amount of stress. It'd be like being on Ozark, being, Marty Bird, wouldn't be able to sleep at night. No, not for me. I'd rather just go buy a couple of villas, chill out, not do much, easy money. Do that rather than the stress of having to keep everybody in Sunderland happy.
Mate, I'd be tempted, But here's the thing. Not Sunderland. Not Sunderland. I'm thinking Boston United.
Where?
Boston United, nearby me. They've been my team nearest to me for a lot of my childhood.
Right.
The rags to riches story. You'd get a statue outside the ground.
Yeah, but what if it doesn't go right? What if it goes really, really wrong, and then your local club and the whole community hates you?
I've just had a lot of. I've just seen like Glenn Tamlin and Billericay just flashing before my
You've just
eyes.
seen visions. You've just seen a huge vision of how this could go drastically wrong.
Yeah, I wouldn't spend the money like a fool. I'd get the youth training system
So
top
you're
notch.
playing real life Football Manager.
Yeah, I'm playing Football Manager 8D chess. I'll let you decide. I'm your man though, Boston. Dale's doing a great job though. I can't lie. He saved them and he continues to keep them steady, keep the ship steady as it is. Let's go.
Well, he's clearly going to have to look out for his job or if he knows as well. If he ever wants to sell up, he knows that just give you a bell and you might be willing to invest. Get Louis Dreyfus on the call.
Yeah, if he gets bored, one phone call to kill Louis Dreyfus. Let's get the Pilgrims back in the Football League where they belong. Let's see it happen. It's time for the predictions, Will. It's time for the predictions. I'm worried we might overrun, but we've hit the predictions. We're fine. We've hit the predictions. Another thriller last week, 4-3 to you. We did well in the goal scorer thing. I think it was the safe pick of Messi that tipped the scales in your favour. But it means you've opened a little bit of a gap. 13-11 is the current scoreline.
Okay.
So this is a big one this week.
Won the tie break if we're talking tennis.
We're not, and we've got plenty of weeks to go. It's early in this half season worth of predictions that we're doing. But yeah, two point lead to hold for you at the minute.
Okay,
and we're starting close to home for you. Tuesday night, Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, Champions League, huge game. Now I must say, you're going first in this prediction. I've got two scores in my head. If you pick one of them, I'm picking the other. So I'm just letting you know that now.
Okay. Well, if I'm being honest, I'm gonna go 0-0. I'm actually gonna go 0-0. I think Chelsea will literally set up, especially with it being at the Wanda. They are not going to want to give anything away. So I think they're going to be very defensive. It's going to be a very cagey, a very dull game. And I'm going to go 0-0 with that one. So obviously, don't throw me in a goal scorer. Put NA.
NA.
Write NA by that.
0-0 was one of the two I had, and it's the standard, isn't it? Atletico's defence this season has been next level. Yeah. I don't think they've conceded over 10 goals in La Liga this season. It's absolutely mental how good Simeone's set up this year, especially making the most of Barcelona and Real Madrid's current shortcomings. It looks like they're romping to the La Liga title. Their goal scoring's got better though. I think they could nick it. I'm going to go 1-0. That was the two scores. It was 0-0 and 1-0. So I'm going to go 1-0 Atletico. I'm going the La Liga top scorer, Luis Suarez.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I may as well. I need to call these points back.
I'm putting a lot of confidence in our defence. I'm putting a bit too much confidence in our defence.
I think I might have just joined you on the 0-0 if you didn't let a sloppy goal in against Southampton. Now I've known it. Now I've seen it's possible.
Yeah, that defending was diabolical.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, so 1-0 Suarez for me. The other Champions League one we're predicting the next night, Borussia Mönchengladbach against Manchester City. Mönchengladbach mixed fortunes in the league this season. They've been up and down. They've had decent spells. Obviously, we've talked about Man City's form, how good they've been at the minute. I think it could be relatively simple for them, actually. I mean, we saw how Leipzig showed up at Liverpool and they didn't worry them too much in the end. They did worry United, but and then Leipzig are above Mönchengladbach, performing better than them as well. I'm going to say, I don't think it's a whitewash. I'm going to go 2-0 City.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what team Pep's going to play, maybe like a half-rotated team. So I'm going to go Ferran Torres as my goal scorer.
Okay. I think it will be a easy, clear-cut City win. Personally, I'm going to go 3-0 City. I'm going to go 3-0 City, even though they're away from home. I still think they'll get the job done. And I'm going to go Riyad Mahrez to score. I'm going to go Riyad.
Big fan of Riyad, I think. I think you've predicted him a few times. And
he's never done it. So it doesn't sound good, does it? But I mean, who knows? This week could be the week.
One week he will. And finally, Premier League. We could have picked Chelsea United, but I didn't want double Chelsea.
You didn't want the double.
It's almost unfair. I mean, I'm not coming out here with triple Arsenal predictions. I could have thrown Benfica Arsenal's the bigger game, but either way. Didn't want to throw Europa League in. I didn't want to downplay this podcast. I want us to be the cream of the crop.
High level, top tier.
Yeah. So instead, I'm going for the game that I think looks very entertaining in the Premier League this weekend. Aston Villa versus Leeds United. Game changer. Is Jack Grealish going to be fit or not? We're not sure.
Well, he's out for a month, isn't he?
They're saying that for a month. And Dean Smith's coming out going, we're getting tests. Who knows? He might be back.
He's going, he's getting tests. He'll be fine. Even though he knows he's out for a month. So what are you thinking here then? Villa Leeds. I think it's a whole game changer that Jack Grealish is out. Against Leicester, they didn't look themselves. And I think the majority of all my friends who are Villa fans are really concerned about the next few games because they think it's just going to be completely different without him. I think it's going to be... I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Pat Bamford to score. But I think if Villa had Grealish with him, then it'd be a Villa win. But without him, they look like they're suffering. So I'm going to go 1-1 Bamford to score.
Yeah, this is tough. This is really, really tough. Grealish is such a game changer for Villa. And like every Leeds game, you could put Leeds against any other team and you're thinking, there's goals in this. There could be goals in this.
Yeah.
This is so tough, man. Villa, bit leaky at the back as well recently. They have conceded the odd one or two goals. Leeds, always leaky. Unlucky goal to concede against Wolves, I will say. But if they play the high line and Watkins gets in behind, for example, who knows what could happen. So I'm going to go 2-2 because it's my classic, and I always if I think there's goals and I can't see it and I can't see a winner, I always go for the 2-2. So I will go for that.
It's a big call.
I'm gonna go for my FPL man, Stuart Dallas, out of nowhere.
Stu
Dallas. He's been with me all season in the FPL. When he gets around, because he's classed as a defender, but he plays pretty much attacking mid. So he's my wild card pick here.
That is a wild card
for the goal scorer. I've got to go out there to pick. I was going to go for a Villa man, but it's risky to pick at the minute. They could create opportunities, but they're not guaranteed opportunities with Grealish not there.
Yeah,
also, I have to talk about speaking of FPL and speaking of Jack Grealish, Aston Villa's players today have been banned from using FPL for the rest of the season. I'm huge in the FPL community in terms of I'm looking every single day at FPL news and stuff like that. There is a Twitter account that's sole purpose is to keep an eye on staff and players' FPL teams.
Wow, what a fun job.
I know, and then they saw that this week, like 8 Villa players and staff all took out Jack Grealish before there was any mention of an injury.
A little tipster there.
So obviously they're fuming. They're saying that FPL's letting the secrets out and whatnot. So they've banned it. But then before the deadline of anything anyway, Villa released 20 training pictures and Grealish is nowhere to be seen in any of them. So you could argue that that's not really helped their case either. And that's kind of just confirmed the deal. Don't ban FPL.
They wouldn't have to worry if they saw my fancy Premier League, Jack. I've said I don't change it. I ain't seen it in a few weeks.
As a man that obsesses over it, let the lads have their fun. Let the lads play. I know if Leeds start doing it, Patrick Bamford's going to have nothing to talk about in his post-match conferences. So I mean, let the lads have their fun. Let the lads play FPL. Before we come to a close here, since we are a new podcast, I'd like to remind everyone, check out the rest of our platforms. If you're on YouTube and you've not subscribed, what are you doing? What on earth are you doing? We've got like 18, 19 subscribers, but we're getting like 40, 50, 60 views per pod. If you're watching this right now and you're not subscribed, I'll give you a few seconds. It doesn't take much. Just hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell while you're there so you're always notified whenever
ding.
whenever we upload.
They won't subscribe now. That's ruined.
You've killed it. If you don't like watching these mugs every week, then we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. On Apple Podcasts, especially if you're there, make sure to give us a rating. Give us a 5-star rating, maybe a little note as well, a little review. Always helps the channel.
Only a good rating.
Only a good rating.
Yeah. Don't
3 stars or
don't
below.
Say any rating.
Get if you got 3 stars or below, get that.
No deal, Knowles. No deal.
You're blocked, mate. Speaking of blocked, you won't be able to see our great Twitter account at PTTO Pod. Nice. Highlights will eventually go out there into polls for deciding stuff for episodes as well. Also on TikTok, still trying to get those TikToks out there. It's a tough struggle, but we're getting there. The more content we get, the more content for me to sift through and create highlights for the TikTok. So get on that pick that one out on TikTok. Well, do we hear a quick update on the dinner party then? Evening club, whatever you want to call it, Will. What are we saying?
Did a party, evening club. Well, the Orange Club wasn't a thriller. Did a job, but very. I didn't realise how biscuity it was. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 6 out of 10. The water really brought it up for me today. Nice and fruity, but the Orange Club very biscuity, very difficult to eat with a mic in front of me.
Yeah, the fans want to know. The people want to know. Does the TalkSport, will the TalkSport commodities, the TalkSport breakfasts come back at some point, or are you just picking from now?
I'm planning I'm planning a big one. I'm planning an Alan Brazil breakfast. That's the next one I'm talking about. It's coming in. Don't you worry about it. I'm just waiting for a mid-morning to record. That's all I need. If
we were ever going to get people to click on the next pod, I think we just got it. Full time on episode 6 then. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me, Will. We will see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.